Should be live now. Hey, everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. Hey, guys, how's it going? Been a long time since we've done a live stream. Yesterday, Hannah was like, why don't we live stream tomorrow? It's like, yeah, now that you say it, it's like, it's not something we ever do anymore. So we made a pact to not leave the house today. So we got all the cows fed yesterday and don't have to step foot outside today. So this is a good Sunday project. So apparently there's a Packer game going on right now, which I didn't know about because I don't follow football. But then someone had commented right during the Packer game. So that's what somebody just said. You should make this quick. Packer game is soon. Oh. What time does it start?
They're probably like warming up now or something.
I only plan to live stream for up to an hour. So as long as you guys are asking questions. I only plan to live stream for up to an hour. So as long as you guys are asking questions, we'll stay on. Hello from Schulzberg. Justin, you're pretty close. Big plans for 2024. The big thing that we're doing right now is that, which I plan on making this into a video at the same time. So I'll probably be repeating this, is that we're kind of diving into supplementing our cows and our steers better. So we've kind of been doing the same thing for the last 10 years and haven't looked at what our cattle need nutrient wise. We haven't had any of our feed analyzed or anything like that. So one day I just kind of I don't know, I was feeling motivated and I'm like, I'm going to rip some hay out of this tube. So I went down there and pulled a bunch of hay out and I took it, called around and took it to a place and got the hay sampled. So we just got the samples back this last week and we had a nutritionalist and got the hay sampled. So we just got the samples back this last week and we had a nutritionalist come out and we talked about, you know, what the cows have for feed, what we're feeding out and what we're going to be putting out there for them, which the video's half done there, but I just still have to talk about the benefits of actually supplementing your cows with additional nutrients and mineral. So it's a long-winded subject, and I will admit there's a lot to learn. So what's the plan to upgrade equipment this year? No plans for upgrading anything at this current time. One thing that I would like to upgrade is our cattle handling out here. I would like to get some kind of tub going to help push them into the chute. But that's more cattle equipment, not new tractors or anything like that, you know. We just got the 7920 less than a year ago, so that's a pretty big upgrade for us.
And the combine just before it.
Yep, combine too. We've had quite a few major upgrades the last couple of years. Looks like you're getting some good use out of the forestry mulcher. Yeah, it was a pretty good year for doing custom work. I need to put out another ad for this spring. That was the last job of the year, and I should have made roughly around $10,000 from that job. So after expenses, doesn't look so good, but it is worth doing for sure. Hannah, do you plan on getting your CDL?
Probably not.
She doesn't need her CDL. It would be good to get it for anybody, in my opinion, because you learn how to drive a semi. Basically, it's useful for driving in general too. I think good refresher.
You teach me how to drive a semi?
I mean, I can teach you how to drive it, but I don't think I can teach you how to pass a driving exam.
Oh, I don't need to do that. Not getting an accident.
The pre-inspection portion, I could probably teach you how to pass it. Have you ever thought of planting cover crops in your corn stalks, then mowing it, baling, wrapping? And you have poor man's corn silage. I question, it depends on when we would get out there and actually see down the cover crops, but I question whether or not it would grow enough to get anything useful out of it, because most of the guys that do cover crops in our area, you're lucky to have a green mat by the time winter rolls around. So this year, I mean, we haven't gotten much snow, so it's gotten plenty of time to grow. I've looked at it. Do I think it's worth it? I don't know. They say there's benefits to it, but would I be able to see that return back on my money? It's questionable. New truck and trailer or new grain bin. So this is something I was thinking about this last week, is would it be worth trailer? I would like to add another semi and a trailer. Big Red's actually getting worked on right now. Aside from the numerous water leaks, the clutch started giving me issues on the last 2 loads, and I made it out to Dyersville and back twice with it slipping on me. But did I want to do that? No.
The very last load, it wasn't so bad, but the one before it, he was a little more gentler on the last load.
Yeah, I figured out that I needed to just, drive a little bit less aggressively. Seems like with Big Red, I'm just constantly, holding the accelerator pedal down because it takes so long to get sped up that by the time you're at speed, you're slowing down again. Next to our Dollar Tree, they put in a cigar and canvas store, just what we don't need in our town in southeast Iowa.
Well,
you have a Dollar Tree? Wow, that's fancy.
Dollar Tree or Dollar General? Which one's fancier? Dollar General's kind of expensive.
Most we have is just our gas station. That's our biggest convenience store in town. Yeah. Seems like the corn markets are going to go on a downward trend here for a little bit. Are you planning to plant more beans or something else to help with income? I'm planning on, we stick to a rotation, or at least I do. I'm planning on flip-flopping. I am looking at adding more alfalfa, though. Looking at what I've got for hay out here and looking at what the cows are using. I have concerns about making it to spring, but when we had that nutritionalist out here, I've been feeding 3 hay bales of haylage, and he said that for how the body condition is on my cows, for most of them, that I could easily get by feeding 50% corn stalks and 50% hay bales. So I'm looking at possibly going to one bale of corn fodder, 2 bales of hay every other day. If you had to get your grain transported, how much would they charge? We were paying anywhere between 17 cents and 22. And the last I knew, it was between 20 and 23 is what they were charging to haul just to Dubuque. So I charge ourselves, I just upped it this year, between 20 and 22. So that money goes towards repairs and insurance and truck registration, because insurance on the truck, just the truck alone, is over $600 a year, which for farm use isn't bad. And then the registration is another $600. But if we put commercial plates on it, then it would be a whole different can of worms. How long does it take to stop your brush cutter when you get barbed wire in it? I've not been able to stop it yet. Pretty much, it sucks whatever's there. Would a bale buster be a possible purchase? I've seen a couple different variations of. So yeah, the thing is with like one of those is that we need a place to feed it out. I'd like to go to fence line feeding my cows, and as of right now, I don't have anything that's really. I don't have a good way to set one up, and I've been trying to decide how I would do it. Now that the cows are down in the steer lot, what I could do is put something in there along that fence line that runs north to south, and coop down there. I want to tear out that bin and the chicken coop. I intended on doing that this summer, but I didn't have the time. And if I were to tear out that chicken coop, the way that it's set up against the steer lot is that I have a cement wall there. So what I could do is put some posts in and then get some fence line feeders in there. And then I'd have a nice little retaining wall that would push the bales forward towards the fence line feeder. And I could do something like that. I mean, it's a decent width. And that way I wouldn't have to go into the steer lot to feed like you saw in today's video where I had to drive out in it. And it gets pretty hairy, especially the times that I've had to use the wheeled machine. But yeah, something like a hay buster is what I'd use to feed. Any ideas yet for a new shed where the barn was? I've been going back and forth because I had originally intended on keeping the cows in the barnyard, but now I've put the cows down in the steer lot. So I'm looking at that going, okay, should we get another pole shed built somewhere down there and use that for the steers, and then do something like what I did with the cows, where I put in the windbreaks just down there. Now, I don't know. For right now, I have switched to kind of like I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative on how I can approach raising the cattle, and I'm trying to go from putting money towards building a building and maybe going, okay, if I put money into putting mineral and stuff out there for the cattle, maybe I could push the calves out sooner and start raising some fats to bring in some more money. So, have you considered planting winter wheat in your rotation? We've not. I don't think we can get in there early enough to. Well, I guess I've seen guys do it. What would we seed in after the winter wheat is my question. And I've seen guys go in with winter wheat in the fall, harvest it in the spring, and then spin around and plant corn, and then they chop the corn silage. So could do something like that. Would like to stabilize our feed first. Glad you're back to increasing content. Missed the drone flybys from harvest in the past. Yeah, that the first 2 weeks of December, I was not home at all during the day when it was sunlight out, and I wanted to wait until I was done with that job before I released this video. So I got it put together and threw it in the rotation. And I actually came across some mulching footage of when I had been clearing fence lines in September. So I threw that on our website. You probably saw that if you watched the video. Movable feeder. Something like what Cole's doing. So if I was to do a movable feeder, I thought about doing this winter as well. I would do it out in the field. And the cows are in the steer lot. The reason I didn't leave them out in the field is because the fences out there are very, especially now, they're destroyed because that corner post broke and the cows trampled over a whole section. So we need to go out and fix that before I can put cows back out in the field. And even then, a lot of the fences out in the field are kind of hairy. So would I be able to keep them out there over the winter? Maybe if I put up an electric fence and cut like half of it off. Because I'd like to get those fences replaced. But to me, getting the pasture fences replaced is a higher priority because we still have some sections that are pretty bad, especially along with our neighbors who have the Highlanders. How's the John Deere skid steer holding up against the JCB Bobcat? I do think it's a good machine. I think that each of them have their own benefits. The Bobcat is old reliable, you don't have any issues with it. The John Deere, we've had a couple things here and there, but it's been under warranty. Like the camera system, Dad was having issues with it. They came and replaced that, and supposedly it's starting to get funky on them again. The JCB is pretty straightforward. I had to actually get that repaired this spring. I had issues with the tracks, so that spent a good month and a half up in Madison. But otherwise, I mean, I love the JCB because it gets me in where I need to go. And the thing about the Deere is that it's heavy, and that can be it's a good thing because it's got less tipping, and it's a bad thing because that thing is like a fish out of water, like almost all the time. And even on the cement over at Rockville, you know, if it's a little bit wet, it gets slippery. Sometimes, you know, you got to push yourself out.
In the lot down here, it froze over, and then it got just warm enough where the top was starting to melt, and he was sliding around a little bit.
Yeah, Travis
might not have
came
been
out.
able to feel it, but I could see it.
Yeah, Travis came out and fed when I was at that job out here, and he couldn't get the cows fed with the Deere steer, so I brought the JCB back. We might have been able to do it a little bit better with the Bobcat because it is a lighter machine and it would float a little bit better. But man, that Deere just sinks. So that's, I mean, I feel like if I went with a wheeled teleskid, I'd be having the same issues, just because a teleskid is at least my track machine is 13,000 pounds roughly. And I think that the tracks I wouldn't go a different way with the tracks on that. How is the old spreader holding up? You know, I didn't think that spreader would still be around at this point. We had to take a couple links out of the chain here last week because they've been spreading quite a bit of manure with it. But otherwise, I mean, the thing's holding in there. I'm kind of surprised how well the floor in that thing is still holding up. We replaced the back section of it, and we put some metal sheets down, but then the plastic fell off the front, and it's just bare exposed plywood, and it's still holding up. So, you know, those new idea spreaders, man, if you find a good used one out there, trust me, it's got another 10 years on it. What was the story of Grandpa's 4430 when you sold it? Why did it have a chrome pipe and broken window? I don't remember the broken window, but the 4430 Grandpa kept up at our upper farm, and my cousin used it, and he actually used it to pull with in tractor pulls. And when I can't even remember what the deal was with that, how that all went down, but we wanted my cousin to have it after Grandpa passed away because, you know, he basically had it up there the whole time he was living there. So I'm glad he ended up with it. Does he still have it? I don't know. I don't communicate with that cousin, unfortunately. But yeah, he changed out the stack for a chrome stack, which is not something I would ever do. I'm not big on the chrome stacks, at least on tractors. And I don't know about the broken window. I don't recall that. Scroll back up a little bit. Let's go back down. There's Travis calling me. Text me, Travis. All right. Hannah, you look bored. That's what this guy said.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll back down. There we go. How grateful are you guys for manure grateful are you guys for manure to help with fertilizer costs? We don't really factor in the manure for fertilizer. We just kind of spread it wherever we took stalks off. What was the last non-John Deere tractor that was on the farm? The last non-John Deere tractor would have been one of those cases that we had on demo that I think the last incidents would have been when I used it to bat wing out in the pasture. That was quite a few years ago now. Have you ever found where the old stave silo was rebuilt from Rockville? I have not yet, no. Hey, Wes, how's it going? How are you finding the feed lasting? I think you mean my silage bales or haylage bales. We made them wetter this summer, and I think that they're in a lot better condition than they were the previous year where we had made them drier. We hit that 25 to 30% moisture range, and we had a lot more mold. Any kids in the future? At some point. Are you planning on trying any different tractor brands? Probably not, but if I had the opportunity to try one, I definitely would. The big thing is, to my knowledge, we don't have any other tractor dealers other than John Deere and Case within any close vicinity of us. So getting one out here would be a little difficult. The camera keeps switching between your face and my face. It's kind of weird. What are your thoughts on the Kuhn baler wrapper now that you've had a few years now? I'm very grateful that we even have a wrapper. It's definitely brought my feed a long way and allowed me to expand my herd. There's two things that have allowed me to expand the number of cows that I have. That is the feed, and that is having a skid loader on the farm out here. So that way it's a lot more convenient and easier to keep them fed. Otherwise, we'd be out here every day with the deer or the bobcat. Are you thinking of putting up any grain bins at your house? That was part of a bin might be in the future of this farm. We have one out here, but it's completely rotted out around the base, and it's totally unusable to keep any feed in. So I would like to get a bin built out here, so then that way the feed is out here, and I also would like some bulk bins to get some distillers and concentrate mixes put in for the steers to make things a little bit easier to handle. When the nutritionalist was here, that's one of the things that we're talking about doing is adding more of a mix of concentrate to the feed that the calves are getting. What I've traditionally done is gone light on the concentrate. I was feeding 34 baby beef. I was mixing it in with the feed that I was putting in for him. And he said, yeah, you should be feeding that about 4 times as much. It's like, excuse me? I had no idea. And that's one of the things that we're doing. So we're going to be mixing in 9 bag, or no, it's actually 15 because we have a bigger mixer than he thought. So we're going to be putting in 750 pounds worth of concentrate in with every load of corn that I mix up. And as they grow, we'll be pulling that back. So how are you doing here?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Oh, looks like we're going to commercial break.
For some people, I
YouTube
guess.
is so weird.
I have one on my account.
Gives me time to read up on the questions.
I just skipped it.
Did you?
I'm good. Would you run Crone or Massey Ferguson? Not Crone. What did he say? Would you run Massey Ferguson? And would you run Deutz? However you say that. Would you run either of those?
I'd probably prefer to run Massey. Massey's the one other tractor brand that I say since they redid their whole tractor line, I've been wanting to try one of them out because they look pretty slick. You know, opinions vary on other tractor brands. So
Deutz isn't very popular.
Not around here. I can't say I've ever seen it. Well, I've seen some used older models, but I've not seen any of the newer ones. Any big land clearing in the future, as in digging up the stumps too? Nope. I'm done as far as mulching jobs go. Come on. If you had to keep 2 of the 4 main tractors, what would it be? The 4020 doesn't count. Doesn't count. 4440 and probably the 7400. 2955 was a close second.
Oh, I see how it is.
Do you still have Starlink? I've heard that people have problems with it. I've been hearing a lot of people complain about issues with Starlink lately too. And then you ask them where they're from, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from Chile." It's like, okay, maybe that's
Good
part of
for
the
the
reason.
most part, but I mean, it's a solar thing, so cloud coverage slows it down a lot.
Yeah. It's way better than what we had before, but supposedly we're getting fiber. They have run fiber in front of the house here, and we were close to where they ended. But they were supposed to start going around this fall, and they asked if I was okay with leaving the line lay on top of the ground from the house out to the road. And it's like, we have dogs. They'd have that torn off in no time. So what bull genetics do you like? As in, like, what brand or like what other farms? Traditionally, I've used 2K. I want to stick with registered bulls because I am trying to switch to a registered herd, which is the reason that this year I'm probably going to be selling the majority of my heifers. We just preg checked the whole herd a couple weeks ago, and that video is probably going to be coming out next. We had the whole herd preg checked, and there's one that I have on record. I need to go sit down and actually go through all of them, but there's one that I found that is about to turn 3 years old, and she hasn't bred back yet. So she's getting kicked down the road. The other ones, I'm hoping that the other ones that didn't breed back, I'm hoping that by doubling down on added mineral and putting blocks out for them, particularly selenium blocks, that'll help with the breed back. What is with? Oh, that's the semi-dry I'm buying in.
They're out here.
With what?
The skid loader, and he brought the gator. I think they gotta feed the ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a bucket in there, so that's great.
Yeah, they must have realized that they needed feed yesterday, or I think they would have saw that yesterday. It needs to be pushed up.
Yeah, they could use a fodder mill too.
Are we getting the freezing weather?
There's a warning, you said.
Yeah, they're calling for 8 to 10 inches, or 5 to 10. The computer's getting really hot for some reason. Let's try throwing something under it.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the channel for so many years. I always love the hay baling and loading with skid steers. Those are some of the more fun videos. That's one of the reasons I bought my trailers, because it seemed like we were doing that a lot. And now we can haul, what, 12 at a time without having to stack them up. Argentina. How's it going? Is it Astrio, the one laying the fiber? No, it was some local guys. JJ Bondrum and Sons, I think it was. They're local. So, we're doing good, Red Fox Mad. how's the farm? Freezing, but very docile winter. Any new semis for the future? I actually just saw one on Facebook Marketplace yesterday. It was a Freightliner Columbia 2014, 230,000 miles for 27,000.
Let's go. Let's go get her. Come on, right now.
Right, like I have that much in repairs just in Big Red. But I bought Big Red for 8,000, so.
I mean, I feel like that's not many miles.
No, especially when Big Red has over
Over a
1.3 now. So it'd be worth. I mean, I would probably sell Big Red for that and go get a newer truck. Problem is, if it's a 14, it should have DEF. That's my biggest. Yeah, that's my biggest concern with it.
Oh, you might be able to get it deleted. Get it removed.
Could be.
They make kits for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody likes it. You don't plan on driving to California, do you?
No.
Then you're
not anytime soon, anyway. If I were to go out to California, I'd definitely fly.
Talking the semi. Yeah, talking the semi.
Yeah, we've got a few. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be at NFMS this year because we've got trips coming up. We're going on our honeymoon, technically, in the end of this month. Oh, crap, that's coming up soon.
Yes, it is the 7th. That means it's like 20 days away.
Yeah, so we're going on a cruise later this month.
I'm scared.
Yeah, me too. I think flying is always the worst part.
I'm scared to be on the boat, man.
That boat doesn't scare me. I just worry I don't get like seasick or something. That would be awful.
I'm afraid of, the boat like crashing and stuff.
Yeah. Hannah, do you prefer Gators or Rangers?
The Gator they have is super slow. We had a Ranger, and it was so nice, but it was also old.
It was pretty nice.
He wants a Gator. If I were to get an ATV, I would get a Ranger, but he doesn't particularly care for Polaris, and I'm not sure why. But I like Rangers.
I've always thought they're built cheap. Just not because they use a lot of plastic, is what I should say. Not that they're necessarily built.
Only where plastic is, tolerable. It's most like the inside's plastic. Most of the inside of your car is plastic too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're so expensive.
Yeah.
All ATVs are unbelievably expensive.
The UTV's on the short to medium list of things to buy, but I think if we were anytime soon, it would probably end up being a Kawasaki Mule. So we're talking the cheap of cheap here.
Yeah, that's where our budget lies.
Right. The biggest thing is I'd like to have one that we could leave the sprayer in all summer, because then I would like load a mix up, take that over to the farm, spray a load while I'm on my way over, and then spray a load on my way back. Because that's one of the biggest fights that I've got going on the pasture right now, is just keeping the weeds down, keeping the thorn bushes away. Thanks, Red Fox.
Would you buy a whole farmstead if one came up for sale near us?
If I could cash flow it.
Right. That's the hardest part. That's the only reason farming doesn't work, is because people are selling their farms to get out of it, and then people want to buy it and they can't afford it.
I had a family friend just earlier this month message me and say that they're selling their family farm. And they said, hey, just letting you know, if you're interested, just kind of help give me first dibs at it. It's like, man, I would love to, but I'd have to make it cash flow. And the way that it is around in our area right now is just, it doesn't cash flow at all. So that's the hardest part. But who knows? Maybe we'll see higher crop and cattle prices be here to stay. I think there'll be a reckoning point with land prices at some point. Long time since I checked in. Did that proposed solar farm ever go through? Oh, yeah. Oh, it went through, buddy.
It's almost done.
Yeah.
They're almost running, but I don't think they're running yet. Some of it might be because sometimes you'll see the panels are facing different directions.
Yeah, they've got all of them pounded in and installed. It's just, I don't think they're operational. What year is Big Red? I think it's a 96. How many acres of farmland has been used up for solar projects? Just next to us, it was at least 2,000 acres. Supposedly, though, I heard someone say back to the county this coming year because they're building another one out in Cassville. There's already one out there. Supposedly, they're
Another solar project.
Yeah, but I think they'll probably just. I think they're probably just expanding it. Is all they're doing.
Well, I mean,
More power to them.
do that.
Could you get a new farmer loan? Yes, but even the new farmer loans interest rates right now are over 5%. That's bonkers to get a USDA loan. So, because I did the math and
I hate the term solar farm because it is not a farm.
yeah, it's technically a solar production facility.
It's a project. We looked up the definition of a farm one day and
can you mulch solar farms? Will it mulch?
Don't know unless you try.
I thought about doing like a short video series. Mulch.
Don't know unless you try.
I thought about doing like a short video series on that on like TikTok or something. Will it mulch?
You know, they do like those crushing videos where you drop stuff in it and it just eats it.
I don't know off the top of my head what cruise ship we're going on.
Liberty cruise ship. I did all the work planning this, so I know things.
Very true.
Not everything, some things.
How many acres are your three main farms? I want to say Travis's down there is over 200. Main farms, what, like 160? And this farm's probably roughly the same. Or is this one? This one might be 200. Depends what you include, because the 40 out there I wouldn't include to be technically on this farm, but it's pretty much exactly the same distance from the main farm as this place is. So, what's the biggest tractor you would put on your farms? You mean there's a limit? But I don't think a big four-wheel drive would go for us, probably just for turning reasons on the contours, even though we've been getting rid of them. Over at Rockville, that had been contoured until this year, and we think that definitely helped with yields, like definitely helped. So we're looking at continuing to get rid of them where they're not necessary. Rockville's like one of the flattest farms that we've got, so we can definitely get rid of them over there. Could there be another chance an IH visits the farm? You know, I actually saw a case MX 125, smaller chore tractor on Facebook Marketplace this morning. That was like 70,000, and it only had like 1,400 hours on it. So 120 is kind of small, but I'd really like a tractor with a loader on it. That'd be one of my big things that I'd really like to get if I'm the one buying. Any more thoughts on trading the 2 grain carts for 1 large? Yeah, still on the table. Not this year, but in the future. If your dad and brother sold everything they owned, so it was just your stuff, what would you do different? I'd definitely swing harder into the cattle. Then I'd have to buy a tractor. and technically then I'd be out of combine. So I'd either have to do custom harvest or have someone do custom harvesting for me and get my corn that way, put the rest to hay, raise more cattle.
There's good money in custom farming.
Yeah, which in that situation I'd be the one paying for it.
I know, but like if you guys had enough time to like throw yourself out to help other people,
Yeah.
custom farming pays pretty decent.
If we got another tractor, what would it be? I got this question a lot before we got the 7920, and I had no idea. I could throw guesses out there. I think that we could use one more medium-sized tractor, and then